Uh, 60% of the audience today is foreigner. How many of you are foreigners? Raise your hands. Okay. And after the experience, either living here or just arriving for the first time or visiting for the Awwwards conference, how many of you are already thinking on opening a shop here? Okay. 1, 2, 3. Okay. A few of you. Okay, so this talk will be for you. For the rest of the people, I always get asked this question. It's like, oh, how is it to open a studio in Japan? Is it simple? Is it cheap? Is it easy? There's many things, all the flavors and all the feelings. So I'll take you through types of company you can open if you wishing to do so, the paperwork, how to ask for help, some of the costs involved in this, how to get your visa, and finding your clients. My experience started in 2016, so probably by now, 2020, some of these advices and processes have probably changed, hopefully for the better. So please don't take it for granted. There might be some changes, especially the cost. So let me take you through a little bit where I come from and why I'm in Japan. So I'm a Spanish, like some of you here, which I'm very happy to hear. And over there, I had everything that I needed, but job. Because, crisis hit Spain 2008, and by 2009, I was so tired of, jumping from one thing to the next, not really being satisfied. So then I decided, okay, if I don't have work, I'd rather move somewhere else. So I moved to London, where I didn't have work neither. I didn't speak English, and I didn't have any contacts. So I have only pocket money for 3 months to survive, and say, okay, let's give it a try. And it changed me. I think it changed me for the better. Not for when it comes to the fashion, though, so I will never come back to this. But I started as a freelancer, and then I joined Us2, which is a good experience that I had, actually a really satisfying experience. I had the opportunity to be working as a lead designer in London, which was my headquarters, I'll say, personally where I lived. Then I moved to New York when they opened the studio, and I was working there for a few projects. And then I moved to Sweden, and with Sweden also to Japan, because I was working as a lead designer for the Sony account, and they had a relationship with them for 10 years. So Sony really, really trusts them, and we were able to actually be working on R&D work, for example, for wearables, and most importantly for Xperia. And we were one of the few partners that can actually be working within the design studio here in Shinagawa, which is pretty, pretty rare to find. And that was very, very eye-opening for me, because I had the opportunity to do good work for a big corporation in Japan, which is really difficult to manage expectations, approvals, changes, and so on, so on. Like changing the face, the first impression they call it, plus the UX and the UI of each of the products that they launch every year. It takes almost like an entire year. And that is rushing through the process and approvals. So that was eye-opening, though I really, really loved Japan. Coming here, every time I was here, I loved it more. And then I met new people, and then I was making new relationships. It's like, okay, I think this is something I like to pursue. So then all came together because in 2016, Japan government approved to welcome foreigners without the need of a Japanese partner to open their own businesses, which is groundbreaking for Japan. And prior to that, so you had to team up with some Japanese person, open the company, and then at some point, if you want to kick this person out, or you keep it if you really like it. So I said, you know what? I think I did this before, and I have no work. I don't speak Japanese, but I have some contacts. So who knows? My mother said, "You're really, really crazy," and I think like Don Quixote, I was like so focused on my dreams that it's like, okay, I'm gonna pursue this. But man, it was hard. So yeah, I was lucky enough to actually open my own studio. It's called Nuevo.studio or Nuevo.Tokyo. It has 2 names. I couldn't decide. Nuevo means new in Spanish, and we take companies through the process of ideating, conceptualizing, launch to market, and then iterate on products that really, really matter. We care about the problems that we want to solve, and we help them through the process of doing so. Working collaboratively together in the same room, we never leave, or they never leave, until we solve the problems. And it looks like that, the process. I'm only going to show you 2 of the projects, just because they're the smallest, but the most rewarding for me. This one, Tonari, is a way that we can actually combine 2 spaces together and make people in the work environment to actually feel part of something bigger. It is a 24/7, always-on, no UI, no calling communication platform that it works life-size, eye-to-eye, with no lag response. When you talk, the other person hears. It's clear audio, clear video. And unfortunately, this is a shitty render that we did. And that's OK, because it actually serves the purpose for what it was, which is convincing the investors to join us. And this Monday, we actually launched the first pilot, which is connecting an interior design company called Frontier Consulting between Tokyo and Osaka, and they are already experiencing this. We launched in 3 pilots this year, and then we launched to the market. So if you want to know more, go to tonari.no, and then so you can find out, you can subscribe to the newsletter, and then see that it's more than a render, it's actually reality. And then the other one, and because most of you are foreigners that came here by plane, I guess, no by boat. So if you want to go to the airport and you want to save some money and you want to go fast and you want to go from your hotel, Airbnb, friend's house directly, just go to nearme.jp and then just book a taxi. And you will share a small shuttle bus with other 8 people, and then you'll save costs, you'll find maybe new friends, and so on, so on. And then it's peace of mind, because it will go and pick you up wherever you are. So very bendy. And then, so the work we did with them is like start from nothing, a concept idea from an ex-Rakuten business developer, to actually launch into the market and seeing this actually being used, which is really rewarding. We also do some branding and some cool stuff, but yeah, I won't bother you with many of my work anymore. The way I decided to run the business is one of the principles is like keeping it super, super small, and to a point that is ridiculously small. Only myself is the only employee, and just because I need a visa to stay in here. Otherwise, it will be just the entity. Regardless, of course, I have a group of friends that we work together, and we work as in when we feel the project is right to be working on, and then we take on those projects that we want. So that's why I call it Jazz Band, because we kind of team up. Each of us have our own expertise, and then we get our heads together and we do it. We're more than 4, but we had this shooting done a couple of years ago, actually. It's like, okay, I can still use it. Anyway, back to the topic. So the foreign-friendly law appeared, and this is something really good for you. So I'll take you through a few steps on how to achieve opening a business. And there's three steps. The one, before coming to Japan, or while you're in Japan with another visa. So there's people that can, open a studio while they get in employee's visa from a company, and then leave the company and then open their own, or from the outside. You can be a freelancer, and that's the easiest way if you can get someone to sponsor you. But if you want to start from the beginning and on your own, then this is the 2 options that you have. Unfortunately, as a foreigner, the only downside, if you wish, is that you actually need to put some deposit to make the government to trust you that you have some funds to actually survive for a little while. Otherwise, as a Japanese person, you actually, with 1 year, you can open your business. So there's 2, Godo Kaisha and Kabushiki Kaisha. And basically, the GK, which is the one I opened, is LLC, so it's just yourself and your partner, and then there's no shares, and then when someone breaks out of a company, they just live with what they put. And this allows you to get the visa, which is what you're aiming for as well. Now, so you start the paperwork, right? One of the downsides now is as a fresh foreigner, no learning, no Japanese, especially written, all the paperwork has to be submitted in perfect Japanese, especially business plans for your business. Why should Japan allow you to be in Tokyo and open your shop? What is it that you bring in there? It's not here and is needed. All the application forms. You need to create a financial forecast for 5 years to see how you're gonna, survive and keep growing. And one good thing that helps is to prove that you have existing connections with Japanese companies, whether that's actually like some work experience, or you have a recommendation letter, or something like this. If you're interested on actually proceeding, I will recommend you to hire a legal advisor, which is what I did. It is not expensive. It's like 500,000, half a million yen, which is $5,000 or so. Maybe more expensive now, and also that depends how many people you're actually starting with. Because I started just myself, it was this cheap. Now, okay, so cool. So yeah, I want to do this. I hired the advisor. She told me all the papers I need to get ready. So then I come to Tokyo. And I come to Tokyo as a tourist, basically, with a tourist visa. I'm Spanish. I have 3 months. It's like, okay, should be enough. But that's actually when the things start to get very messy. So again, 3 months is actually a very short period of time to sort things out, and while you're living in Airbnbs because you don't have another chance, or you live in a friend's apartment and things like that. So it kind of becomes quite expensive, because Airbnbs for such an amount of time actually becomes quite pricey, especially in Tokyo. So the first things you need to take care about to actually start submitting the paperwork are these 3 essentials: a bank account, an office space, and a phone number. And you might think, oh, okay, cool. So I'm making a graph here because actually it's quite messy and complicated. So okay, bank account, office space, phone number. It's like, okay, how do I go about it? And then these other 3 things appear. You need a visa, a company, and an address to work out this equation. To have a phone number in Japan as a foreigner, you can only have a SIM card that only has data. And so if you want a phone number, you need an address. But for having an address, you need a visa. But for having a visa, you need a company. And to have a company, you need a bank account. And to have a bank account, you need a visa. And that's the reality. So I was like, how do I start with all this? I have nothing. I thought it was the friendly law. No Japanese partners needed. It's like, who can open the company as a fresh newcomer? It's impossible. So then I invited my friend. This is codenamed Juan. It's not his real name. When you get a partner involved, it needs to look like you. Otherwise, they don't allow it. So I hide his eyes because he's very beautiful and he's very charming. So it's like, shit, so I need to involve another person. And that, of course, adds cost because you need to put it in papers, then you need, at the end of the day, he only helped me for those reasons, for having a bank account, having a phone number, and being able to actually register the company. So then I said, the legal advisor helped me doing this. So if you bring Juan, then he just puts 1 yen and then subscribes as a partner in your company, and then we can use his account, we can use his office space, which is his house, and we can use his phone number, and then you can have all of the things. But I wanted to take on getting my own office space instead of his house, because I don't want to get involved in all this procedure and then get him out of it, just in case, for in the future. So, I'm going to try to find an office space if it's possible, because I'm a tourist, so I don't know if that's going to be actually a thing. But the legal advisor recommended this place. This was my original office space where the business was registered on. And that was maybe like 1.5 square meters. This is a COSPA approach. COSPA means cost performance in Japan. They love this word. And I was faking it. I was saying that this was my office, but this was my apartment, which is, of course, a rental. And it's very close to the table because it's very narrow. So I found the cheapest place possible, refer from the legal advisor. Otherwise, as a tourist, you cannot rent a place, obviously. But they allowed me to do so, but I had to pay upfront 6 months as a deposit. And I said, yeah, that's a matter because, if I get approval on the company, I cancel the contract and move to some other place. And they say, oh, okay. So this was the cheapest approach, which is not bad. I don't know how expensive it will be now, maybe more. When you open a business, you cannot rent a sharing space. There's a law in Japan that says that new businesses have to have walls, door, and a mailbox independent from others. So when you see this photo, this is a multi-purpose building for office spaces that basically is just to register your company. So it's a corridor of rooms with 4 walls, 1 door, and a mailbox. And it's nobody there, and it's 2 floors. Maybe there's 40 rooms there, this small. That's what they build this for. That's the business model they have, which is awesome because then I could actually rent it. So cool. We have all that we need. We're going to submit the papers, and you have to wait 3 weeks. So 3 weeks basically just, lingering around, wondering, will I get approved? Will I need to go back? I got approved. Yeah, I got my name on a paper, and it says, you're doing this stuff, and this is your money with a 1 yen, but I don't have a visa. And it's like, what? So then you got to do things all over again because it's your company, it's not you. Now your company will sponsor you, but then now Japan you need to go through the process for Japan to approve you as an individual to be in Japan. It's like, oh no. Okay, so things that help: proof work experience with Japanese companies, having some higher education degree, bachelor's, master's, PhDs, that helps a lot, and experience running a company. But doesn't need to be an MBA. I don't have an experience running a company myself before. I was just freelancing. But I posted this photo on my submission papers, and I think that's because they actually allow me to be here. It says that I'm certified to be a ramen chef. Yes. Which I love. I love ramen. And the rest was also equally important. Cool. So then I submit the papers. They're very long. It's all in Japanese as well. And you have to wait, and this is actually much longer. This can take 6 weeks. And so, okay, the visa is expiring, so I kind of need to leave the country and come back. What do I use? Okay, I'll use near me, so then I can actually commute from the airport to my home, which I didn't have a home anyways. And I was, at that point, living in a friend's apartment. And I was away when actually my legal advisor sent me this, and they approved me to be here, and that was really, really, really rewarding. I was 3.5 months in when I got this approved, and that means it's all set. It's time to go. And you've seen this bike theme going on here. That's my son. That's why I put it here, because I really love him. And that's actually the biggest project since I've been in Tokyo. He's born in Japan, but he cannot be Japanese, I'm sorry. He's half Australian, half Spanish, born in Japan. He will never be Japanese. So the third part of the talk, and the last one, so it's going to be brief. Some people ask me this as well. Hey, how do I get my clients when I'm in Japan and I'm a fresh newcomer? It's very simple. I think this worked for me at least. Create relationships with like-minded people, people in the industry. Some other people can connect you with other people, and be very active. Go to conferences like this, events, drinking parties, small talks. If you have a chance to talk about something that you know or that you like, just go, and people really invite you to everything. So there's always a chance. Or create your own events. I create a gaming event here. People can come and play and give him some presents. Yeah, find your professional advantage. What is your niche? What are you bringing that other companies don't have? One thing I found is that aspire to have project collaboration instead of trying to get your own projects with your own team and your own clients. That doesn't work. It's better to actually being able to be flexible and working with other companies, ShiftBrain, Monopol, GardenAid, whichever you're actually looking up to and you want to work with, because they will always welcome you. And in Japan, this is one of the good things that people really trust you, and people will refer you if you do good work. So yeah, be brave and good luck, guys. Thank you.